Good morning and welcome to Morning Moments. We're going to continue the series on communication and part 2. Last week we broke down the elements of communication or gave you the intro to those, and then through the next few weeks we're going to break these elements down and talk about where communication can fall apart. Because after all, poor communication is one of the huge factors involved in becoming angry or even keeping anger in. We're often angry at somebody because of poor communication. James 1:19 in the scriptures tells us that we should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. So James connected communication with anger. And I believe that they really are connected often when it comes to people who are angry and have been angry for some time. So let's talk about the first element is the sender. I sending you the message, you are the receiver. So let me tell you what can go wrong at first with the sender. The sender's first element in the communication skills is the source. What is it they want to say? If you do not go through the process of communication and at least filter it, then the communication becomes very quick. Often the things that are upsetting to other people is things that you say quickly. That's why the scripture saying, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. So if you think a little bit before you even say it, the source that you want to say is probably something that shouldn't be said. If you just think a little bit. Have you ever wrote an email, and I mentioned emails last week, and emails is a good way, or letters, is a good way to talk about what we do verbally or non-verbally, and look at those same elements. If you ever typed an email and you looked at it and go, I'm not sure I want to say that to that person, and then you delete it or say, I'm not even going to send that. If I can't say it in a way that's not going to not get me fired, I don't want to send it to my boss. All right, or I don't want to send it to somebody. But it's the quick emails or the quick text that somebody says, well, I'm going to text somebody, and I've seen people ask me, well, what do you think I should say? Should I say this? I go, oh yeah, go ahead and say it. I'd laugh and they send it. I go, no, I was just joking. It's too late. They said it. All right. It's that quick message that gets us in trouble as the sender. So before we even start breaking down the issues that can so easily break down communication, that source is the first thing we want to start. And that's why I want to start with slowing things down. I have a hard time slowing things down. I'm the poster child for ADHD, and I've always been going 100 miles an hour. And anybody knows me, even from school and childhood, that I'm always going. My father-in-law, when he lived with us before his death, turned to my wife one time and says, "Does Andy ever stop? No, he just moves all the time. He just constantly doing that." And with that, I've learned that sometimes I gotta keep my mouth shut, because my humor and my talking gets me in trouble. Most of my mom and dad's parent-teacher conversations they had when they were called into school had something about Andy just can't keep quiet. All right, just because he just talks all the time. I understand that. That's one of the issues I realize I've had. And I realize that the things that get me in trouble the most is that when I talk before I really think about what I'm saying, engaging the tongue before you've engaged the mind. The source is the first thing to start with, and the source is you asking, should I even say that? Well, no, it needs to be said because it's the truth. Well, sometimes you ought to turn the filter on. The older we get, the more our filter sometimes gets in trouble. But sometimes you need to keep your mouth shut. Don't send the message. Don't hit the email send. Don't text, and just keep your mouth shut. That's the best thing to do to keep from people being angry. But I feel passionately about, well, I don't care how you feel passionately. Is it what you should be doing? No wonder people are angry with you is because you constantly are saying things you shouldn't be saying. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is James 1:19, where we should be 1, slow to speak. No, first of all, it says quick to listen, right? First of all, quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. They all work together. So there's the first thing I want to talk about is that the sender needs to take time and ask, is that even a message I should even encode and send? Because maybe I should just keep my thoughts to myself. First thing is be slow to speak. All right. So that's my first thought today, or thought today with Morning Moments on part 2. Come back next week and we'll start talking about the encoding process that the person goes through when they discover that that is a message they do want to send. So come back with me next week when we talk about encoding. See you next week. Thank you.